Good evening. If Ichabod Crane had fallen asleep when I was a child growing up, and he awakened tonight, he would be so disoriented. He wouldn't recognize anything. Arlington was no longer a farming community when I was growing up, but it evolved. It was a bedroom community, literally a bedroom community, nothing there but houses. Then, of course, it became suburbia, and now to avoid that word city, you call yourself an urban village, whatever that is. But my time began when my father migrated to Arlington from Mecklenburg County, Virginia, where he lived. He was a married teenager living on his family's farm. And it was the practice at that time for people to come by, and the young men would take jobs away from home to gain, to make a little bit of money. His family raised tobacco and cotton, so he had never done it before, because he had not come of age, but now he was. So one day, some recruiters came by and asked for someone to come to Arlington and to take a construction job. The job was to build a school for the colored children. And it turned out to be on land that was donated by an African American family that you were just mentioning about, the Hoffmans and the Bostons. They gave their land to build a 6-room school, Hoffman-Boston. So my father came, and he had wonderful stories to tell about 3 other guys came, and they all lived in one room and ate bologna sandwiches because they didn't know how to cook. But anyway, he worked to build that school. And he was hired as what the Labor Department calls a common laborer. He was a farmer. He was not a skilled laborer. He worked with the dirt. But as the job went on, he heard about the Washington school system that had a dual system. They had school in the day and in the night. And he and my mother had not had the opportunity to go much further than the 8th grade because there were no facilities, no schools for them in Mecklenburg County. So when someone came by from the Helms Concrete and Pipe Company and offered him to come to work with him, he thought, yeah, we'll see. And so he brought my mother and his grandmother, whose house he had moved into in Mecklenburg because he had a bride and he needed more space. And they came to Arlington. She came to Arlington, and my father, after digging all day, enrolled in Armstrong Technical School, and my mother, Mary Washington Domestic School. Mary Washington, it doesn't exist anymore.
Armstrong does.
Oh, yes, Armstrong
Yeah.
does. Mary Washington
Right.
is defunct. So they got themselves through high school. Time passed, and he went to work for the Helms Concrete Pipe Company. He didn't know he'd be there 40 years, but he did. And he was making more money. So eventually he arranged for his portion of the farm to be taken over by tenant farmers and so forth. And then the children began to come. We fast forward a little bit, and when I was 4 years old, I was one of 4 children. When I was 4 years old, one September day, my birthday is in September, my mother took me, put on a dress instead of the play clothes that I wore to St. John Baptist Church Nursery School. She put on her hat and gloves and put a book in her purse, and we went up to Hoffman-Boston School, and she told the principal she wanted to enroll me in 1st grade. Well, neither the principal nor my mother knew anything about readiness or socialization, that sort of thing, and I was enrolled in Hoffman-Boston School. They regretted it, but I settled down eventually. Then fast forward some more. I have graduated from college, and I'm in Arlington interviewing with Mr. Charlie Wilson, the person in the personnel department for a job. So in the course of the interview, Mr. Wilson said, "Aren't you a little young to be teaching, and I thought to myself, if your mother had put you in school as a toddler, you'd be young too. But I didn't say that. What I said was, I wasn't too young to certify. And the minute I said it, I wondered if that was flipped. But he did hire me. He called me back in, and he gave me a 10-month contract at the magnificent sum of $2,900 a year. And it was to be paid over a 12-month period of time, and I was assigned to teach at Hoffman-Boston School. Well, I was euphoric. I was rich. But when school opened and I went into class, I reflected. I thought, the first public school that I ever attended and the first school in which I taught was a school that my father built. And I thought that was very cool. And I still think it is.
It is very cool.